Hi everyone, I know you're excited to be here to listen to Pallavi Ghosh, so let's get right down to it on Thursday. And before
Listen
we
to you
start,
also, Advaita.
Eid
It's your
Mubarak.
show.
Wishing all of you,
Eid
whoever
Mubarak.
celebrating, a very blessed celebration and lots of good food today. So please enjoy yourselves and let's get to. But it was not a holiday, Pallavi, for our politicians because you had Rahul Gandhi in Rajasthan and you had the Prime Minister in Rishikesh. So let's
Prime Minister
get
is
to.
always out and about. I mean, his
He's always
campaign,
working, yeah. But
like
Rahul Gandhi,
yesterday I noticed, and was it yesterday or day before, Advaita? Pilibhit and then going to Coimbatore. I mean,
hmm,
even though he's going by flight or whatever, but it's tiring to travel and then the heat and then
that
to speak.
yes, the energy it takes to speak to a large audience, to hold their
Yeah.
attention, to keep them interested, and at his age, it's incredible, really.
Well, all I can say is it's definitely at his age is much, much more active than many who are younger to him. Talking about old men, someone has just joined us in.
He is also very active, yeah, for his age, but in other areas, which we shall not get into.
Sandeep,
But
smile. Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak.
okay, let's start. Pallavi, Rahul Gandhi is going on about the caste census. Someone is telling him it's a
Yeah.
good idea.
But today his speech was, I saw your tweet also, is a bit doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. He wants to know about
Okay, let's
reservation and the caste
let's
factor.
let's start with the caste census of this group.
So that's what we were talking about this. So, I mean, let me complete that, Sandeep. And also in the media and every profession, and he's convinced that this is going to be the card to be played by the Congress party, where at least his calculation is that Dalits, OBCs, plus the Muslims and the young people, who are a little tired, who don't have jobs and all of that, they are the ones who could make a difference as far as the India front is concerned.
Hmm.
So, do you know Bengalis are considered OBCs in certain states?
Yeah. Almost everyone is considered OBCs in certain states.
Bengalis all over, including
Actually,
Haryana. I know of certain states we are considered OBCs.
where?
Madhya Pradesh, it used to be Chhattisgarh, I presume, and a few other places.
Hmm.
Someone told me even Odisha, maybe.
But
I can't.
here's the thing, what is this aggressive sort of revolutionary mode in which he's threatening a caste census? It's one thing to kind of talk about this from the point of inclusive or whatever have you, but this sort of it's almost like a threat, isn't it?
Yeah, but
I do
Pallavi,
200 rupees Vivek has given and compliment also. Thank you very much, Vivek. Thanks for calling
Thank
me
you.
cute and he's called you the glamour girl of the show.
Oh,
to
to be
Advaita,
honest, apart from
I
you,
thought
there's not
you,
much competition here. But go ahead, Sandeep.
no, I thought it was a compliment to Pallavi's new hairstyle. But anyway, coming to that's my compliment. But the point is, if Pallavi is on the ground, do you see any resonance on the caste factor? If they're making caste because you travel fair bit, you
See,
mix with the crowd, is anybody saying, "Hey, this is for the first time somebody is saying this"? Abhi, uh, you know, because people were always concerned about caste, and they already have their caste
hmm,
identity. Uh,
absolutely.
like my Bihari Jeeves, whom you're seeing here, he has very clear caste identities in Bihar, and he's not bothered about whether there's a caste census or not a caste
Yeah.
census.
Yeah, I mean, see,
Hypocrisy.
see, the riders, I haven't traveled too much yet, so I'm going to start doing that so I can give you a better answer. But wherever I have gone, Sandeep and Advaita, I don't find people so impressed by it because there's a sense of fatigue, there's a sense of weariness and weariness. Because they think, why is it that they talk about this only when there are elections round the corner? For good 4.5 years, the Congress was talking about other things, and I'm talking about the Congress. For 4.5 years, Congress was talking other things. Suddenly, during the Bharat Jodo Yatra, Rahul Gandhi starts talking about the caste census. He was in power. I mean, their party was in power for 10 years. They are in power in Karnataka. Like in Karnataka, the caste census was prepared when Siddharamaiah was the CM the last time round, but the caste census was never made public. And there's a difference of opinion between DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah as far as making the results of the caste census public. So this is what people are also, many areas they're asking, your own government you're not doing wherever you are, caste census, do it. And second is, why are you talking about it now when the election's down the corner? How do you know you're going to remember? And second, what about your own party? What about when you were in government? How many people from these castes were actually made ministers, or there were reservations for them in various boards, even appointment for party posts? You make a beginning from there. The problem is that Congress keeps on shifting its goalposts. Kabhi inko lagta hai ki we should go towards the Brahmins and woo them because the BJP and everyone else has forgotten the Brahmins. Then they start doing that. Then on the other hand, then suddenly they realize it's OBC and Dalits. Not everyone in the Congress party is very comfortable with Rahul's pitch on caste census. Each one is using it as it suits them in their own political narrative.
I'll tell you why they're doing it. It's very straightforward. They think there is a Hindu consolidation behind Prime Minister Modi. They need to break up that consolidation. How do you break it up? By the old tire trick of using caste to break up that consolidation. It's as straightforward as that. It has nothing to do with upliftment or any of the polite speak that we want to couch it in. It basically has to do with breaking up the Hindu vote bank by using caste, which has been happening repeatedly, and now it's just happening in a much more aggressive, overt form.
But you see, they tried that in the assembly elections. And one of the supporters, not only of Congress, but very closely of the Gandhi family, a mutual friend Tehseen Poonawalla, has openly said that the caste census, even someone like him has said, was a wrong card to play in a place like Madhya Pradesh. So what has been their learning, unless they've got some new insights that is helping? I think otherwise it's just a simple disruptive technique. I don't think he can hope that is what's going to sweep Congress into power. Only thing, as you are saying, if I think that, okay, it can probably cut a bit of BJP's votes, nothing more than that. And Pallavi, you're talking of DK Shivkumar Siddaramaiah, the famous speech of Chidambaram in Parliament when he said why the caste census cannot be feeble. So there was always that point. But the bigger point, if you move away from that, is do today's youngsters really look at getting the caste card to, playing the caste card to get the jobs? If Rahul Gandhi is today talking about not only government jobs, he's talking about in media, in
Yeah.
industry, this, that, and the rest. Now, those who will be entering those places, they know today everything is a meritocracy. And they will have to stand on merit. It's no longer that you're getting in, assures you automatic promotion like you're standing on an escalator and you get in today, 30 years later, you're going to retire as whatever, general manager or a secretary or something like that. Now, today, anywhere they'll get in. So I don't think kids today are seriously looking at, these sort of options. Very digressing a little bit, very small sample size. I went to a naval base on East Coast. Don't want to name it for sensitivity reasons. And there was a training center. I saw 5,000 odd Agniveers passing out. You could see the letters the passing out a day after the passing out parade, and you also see the kind of pride and excitement among them. They are going out and they think they've got a great deal. They are also not looking at just 15 years of bonded labor or something of that kind, and after that they'll be out. Everybody realizes after 15 years your market value could be far more challenged if they were to earlier the kind of thing. Okay, they'll get pension, but pension is hardly something to. But whatever they're earning, if today they put it into mutual funds, they'll probably earn much higher. So I think Congress is really out of touch with how youngsters think today. Youngsters are today, as they are saying, today's Gen Z. In our time, people had worked for one company. Then people work for three companies, change jobs thrice. Gen Z are going to change their careers at least 3 times in their lifetime. Look at Advaita. She's from writing film scripts. She has now got into media, and you don't know what she'll get into next. So nobody is looking for, or she may go back to film scripts, or or even
Originally a hotelier.
before
Yeah.
that, I'm just I just call that. So you move that way. People are no longer wedded to one
Yes.
job, one city, anything.
And people are also, and especially the incoming youth, they're going to work more from home. They're going to be working more in jobs where mobility even is not an issue. So I think the way people are going to be employed and the kind of employment they're going to receive is going to be so different. And we have to, and the only thing that he's stuck on is this caste census and jobs in industries that do not even come under the purview of the government. Now, how comfortable, I know Haryana, Gurgaon, they tried it. It didn't work when they tried to tell private companies to hire according to a certain caste breakup or only locals first and then seek employment, from outside. I understand local employment should be given a priority, and we have caste reservations in place which need to be there. But beyond that, I mean, isn't this overreach, Pallavi? Saying that even the media will have to now, and there are so many private media channels. If you're looking at state media, then that's another matter. But a channel like yours, for example,
Yeah, I mean, I see in some professions it's going to be a lot about your specialization. I mean, for example, tomorrow you will say कि doctors के लिए इतना इतना reserve हो जाना चाहिए. But what if you don't get a competent doctor? Suppose there's a position A coming up and there are two contenders. One is very brilliant and a good doctor, but he belongs to a so-called upper caste, and the other one is the backward. And then who do you then employ? The backward caste, maybe he's not a very good doctor, or he doesn't have that kind of qualifications, and not because he belongs to the backward caste, but because of maybe his capabilities. So do you hire like that? Similarly in the media, because I'm in the media, so I can talk about it. I don't think I was hired or not hired because of my caste. Even now, I see lots of media companies and YouTubes and all of that hiring people. But the first thing you don't ask them is, okay, you tell me, are you belonging to a backward caste? And should we
yeah,
hire you because you're backward? I will hire you because you're a kick-ass reporter, or you write very well, you're a good editor, you're a good cameraman, and so on and so forth. And
Well,
second, I feel, and I see this around, one second, around me in the peer group, when you go on and on about the caste, but unfortunately, by some fluke, you also, in a very convoluted way, begin to attach a stigma to a particular person who belongs to a backward caste, where he's going to be called out. देखो उसको नौकरी इसलिए मिली, उसको reporter and anchor इसलिए बनाया गया because that person belongs to a backward caste. So even if tomorrow I am also making a mistake and another so-called backward person also makes the same mistake, they are going to be more unforgiving for that person and more forgiving to me, because they'll say, look, they have come in through the backroom quota and so on and so forth. So are we being fair to them? I mean,
you
I
know,
think some of them are just not practical. I mean,
you know,
Rahul Gandhi can talk about it, I'm sorry, everything, but very quickly, they have their own organization, right? National Herald. In the National Herald, who are the people from the backward caste who have been hired? No, you haven't done that.
and begin. You see
I
that.
just quickly, Sandeep, just a quick intervention. Originally, like, I came from hospitality. There, we all clean toilets. We all do all those kind of things, which are based associated activities to do. Everybody does it. There's no question of what your caste is, what your anything is. The only time I held back on anything was when you had to taste beef, which I said that I don't mind. I'm going to give this a pass, even if it means losing marks, but I'm not going to taste it. But that was my own personal conviction. But other than that, I mean, cleaning, washing, doing whatever you need to do, you do it, irrespective of what caste or religion or whatever you are. And you're right, a lot of professions are like that, be they high skilled professions or generalist professions like hospitality. Sandeep, please go ahead.
No, no, I was making all these points are valid, and these points have been discussed earlier. But does Pallavi tell me, in your media world, how many, other than a few companies, or even in your kind of companies, how many jobs are today permanent jobs who are on the rolls of the company? Most of the jobs are today contractual. Okay. Well, and if things are moving in media to your YouTube and everything else, how many of the YouTubers give people a job, even the camera persons or back room, anybody, really jobs with. These are all contractual jobs. Now, how will you enforce a recruitment in that through any caste census? So he is totally out of sync.
And
Companies.
also, Sandeep, even those so-called liberal journalists and YouTubers who are supporting Rahul Gandhi on the caste census. And if you just go through a timeline, Sandeep, I don't even have to take names. They too run successful channels, right? They too run successful YouTube channels, and they do have staff, which may be a cameraman, a producer, editor. Not many of them are belonging to a backward caste. So before you start supporting someone, you should also walk the talk. My problem is with that. The only thing I feel about the caste is that don't say no to a person because he belongs to a backward caste. I mean, but don't say yes to a person only because he belongs to a backward caste. That's where my problem. Second is Rajiv Gandhi and all of them would talk about a casteless society. Everyone is one and we are united. Today you have a Rahul Gandhi and a Congress party talking about caste. And on the other hand, you have now the PM. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm defending him completely or the BJP or something like that. But there they are talking about an inclusive society. You want to criticize the BJP on the point that they polarize, they make a difference on the basis of religion. You're also bringing in another kind of polarization, and that's the caste polarization.
And
See that.
I think if you're coming from a good place, then you should understand that how are you equipping people who do not have those privileges, be it because of their economic situation or their caste situation or their regional situation? They may be up in the hills somewhere and cannot be skilled with the jobs of tomorrow. I think someone who's truly progressive is going to look at how can we skill people, like young kids now in the bigger cities. They're going into professions and degrees that have to do with, for example, artificial intelligence. That's their area of focus. So how are you equipping the people who need that kind of equipping with a skill set? Instead, what you're saying is, we'll guarantee you a job or we'll guarantee you this based on your caste. I think that's wholly regressive.
Regressive, but it ultimately boils down, Advaita, to what you were saying in the past. It boils down to some kind of this psychological calculation with Yogendra Yadavs of the world would have given him, and to say that earlier what was the biggest grudge against BJP? They thought BJP was a Brahmin Banya party, and they could get only votes from the shopkeepers and traders. BJP did a social re-engineering, and they were able to then get a whole spectrum of the so-called Hindu votes. Now, Rahul Gandhi has this problem that other than the minority votes, which they have, and that too, they don't have everywhere exclusive hold on the minority communities, like you know, in UP, Samajwadi Party has an equal hold on those. Now, his worry is Mayawati's votes may have either shifted to BJP or there. So I think somebody has told him that this is the way. If you can get a slice of the OBC and the backward classes votes from all these constituencies, add to your existing vote base, that's where you'll shift the needle. So it's some kind of a thing, but the messaging is so wrong. And this messaging, unfortunately, in Congress, if this was such a major issue, then everybody should have been shouting from the rooftops in the same language. But other than Rahul Gandhi, who is going, gung ho, to even their, spokespersons talk so aggressively on the caste issue. If you assume that as a theme, rightly or wrongly, BJP takes a theme of going against corruption. Everybody speaks about that over there. Here, only he's a lone crusader, and everywhere he's going on upping, the decibel level and ante each day getting more aggressive, which actually doesn't show conviction. It probably shows a little bit of frustration that it's not yet making the impact which he thought will make.
It won't, because it's it's so out of date, this kind of rhetoric and these kind of promises. Like, even moving on to the next one, which is the women, and those below the poverty line will get 1 lakh a year, and as soon as they come to power, they'll immediately transfer that money. I mean, on the one hand, you have the prime minister talking about Lakpati Didis and how women can be entrepreneurs and generate their own income and have their own freedom that comes from that kind of financial independence. On the other hand, you have this person who's from a younger generation, supposedly very progressive, worked, lived, studied abroad, all of that, etc., etc., and he's still talking about handouts.
That's the problem. And the empowerment vis-a-vis, as you are saying, the handout. The empowerment doesn't happen. The old theory of giving someone fish rather than to teaching somebody to fish, the same applies. You see, if the money goes, what Narendra Modi has tried to do with the women. First of all, even the BPL women in the villages, he got the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and those are homes being given in the name of the woman. So, giving them the asset, which actually gives them the say in the house. Okay, the house now belongs to them. Similarly, when you're doing this Lakpati Didi, etc., that is, and it's not a new model. People have been doing this even in the private sector. So, companies like Levers and all, they started this, some other name I'm forgetting, by making them micro distributors of their products in the villages and everything else. People, the whole thrust for everybody, even Mamta Banerjee talks to people as saying that set up a pakoda stall, telebhaja. He says to before the puja, etc., set up a pakoda stall, and from pakoda add this and that. There is a thing to tell them that you become, independent. You do that. And at a higher level, as soon as you go to these people, their children, who have by now got educated, they are no longer, most of the people, even in villages, the kids are not in that form. So they are looking for, careers and professions. They are not looking for the old story of a cycle. एक साइकिल दे दिया नीतीश कुमार ने and बहुत खुश हो गए लोग वहां पे जा रहे हैं या मोबाइल फोन भी दे दिया. Now they are wanting to see what can we do when they are getting married. Their spouses in the in-law family, everybody expects them to do something meaningful and gives them the opportunity to do something meaningful. Talk to your people at home. Those who, they are no longer looking at their kids in that way. People from sitting in big cities, their children are learning some vocational skill. Somebody is becoming a beautician, somebody is becoming an electrician or something of that kind. They are no longer looking at, sitting on Manrega and doles.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, I think this is where the big miss is for the Congress in this election and their messaging. They're unable to tap into the aspirations of people, the different demographics. They're just not able to tap into that. And that is why they're having such a hard time bringing that kind of enthusiasm for them amongst the public. Pallavi? Hi, Pallavi. Pallavi is busy doing something
Mm,
else.
no, no, no. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. We were just talking about, the promise to women, and how, on a certain level, the Congress has been unable to tap into aspirations in the way that they need to. They're always dwelling on negativity and the fear psychosis, but not necessarily tapping into aspirations and providing a blueprint or a map for the way forward and a different way.
But it worked for them in some states, like when in Karnataka and Telangana and in Himachal Pradesh, they tried to do that. I mean, they did it quite successfully, giving money directly into accounts of women. But I mean, I was there at the manifesto release of the Congress Party. The entire thread of it was not focusing so much on the woman card as it was on the caste census. They went on and on and on about the caste, and women was important. I mean, Mahalakshmi scheme, which they're talking about, is important, but at the end of the day, you need to sell it out more and more. And what is the Prime Minister saying? That I believe in four castes: Kisans, youth, women, and there's one more he's talking about. I'm forgetting. Kisan, youth, women, and I'm forgetting. So he's talking about four castes. And he also, what is he trying to say? He's trying to say these are the four people, or these are the four categories on which my focus is going to be on. But I am also talking about inclusivity. These people need to do well. They are already doing well, and the better they do, the more developed a country can. Congress is putting them up in silos. On one hand, caste census, and on the other hand, they're talking about, like Mahalakshmi scheme, Mahilaon ke liye karenge, for poorest of the poor. Basically, the criticism which many people are making on the Congress is becoming like an NGO, Jhola wala, chap wala party, and also the influence of the left. that imprint is becoming stronger and stronger on the Congress.
And the scary, the sad thing is, I think the BJP is also quite left and welfarist in a lot of the things they do. In fact, most right wing, economically right wing, will call the BJP left as well. But I think what's happening here is that what they're picking up from the left, and I'm not of the opinion that no ideology has good points or all ideologies have bad points or anything of that sort. What they're picking up from the left is the disruptive, destructive, revolutionary sort of ideology. Those points with the anger and the rage, the ones that lead to bloody revolutions, is the kind of nuggets they're picking up from leftist ideology, which are best left in the past and are
So
very dangerous and aggressive.
see, and it is not just the left ideology. If that was happening across Congress, you understand. The problem today is the people who are advising to set up, do these agenda and manifesto everything. None of them are economists, politicians. They are people who are, some of them are economists, he consults maybe overseas. Some people are here like Yogendra Yadav, who the name keeps cropping up, and few other people. And all of them are very, very bookish theoretical construct which is being given to him. I don't know how much of discussion, genuine discussion, he's having, even within his party, for people who can give him some gyan on these matters. I'm not sure if he were to talk this over to somebody like Ashok Gehlot. Obviously, they will be, they defer to the boss, etc. But he would have got some nuggets of advice from them. राहुल जी आप सिर्फ इसका बात मत करिए दूसरा चीज का भी बात करिए all these doles which I find, Advaita, jumping a topic today, the people I interact with, for them, whether it's Mandarega or even the free ration and all, today has become a malai. They are happy to get that as a malai. They know it's for a short period. We'll get that and that subsidy, etc. Some of them, encash it and other things also. But people are looking at a different core income because the whole, the base has changed in terms of what people think a sustainable income. So this can be a malai. This can be just a small, like we keep asking you that, give us some 200 rupees or something of that kind. If you were to give, we'll be all very happy. But that will not pay for my, dal roti and scotch.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Yeah, so it's actually quite clear, Pallavi. The two parties, when it comes to caste, are on a different path. The Congress wants to really go harken back to the past and continue with those kind of identities. The BJP, on the other hand, takes some very obvious political risks. For example, choosing chief ministers of states who don't come from the dominant caste in the state. We've seen that happen in Haryana. We've seen that happen in Madhya Pradesh. So it's quite clear that the BJP is trying to go beyond the caste identity in the way it does its politics. There may be schemes and all of that in place which do help, the backward castes as they should. But in terms of how they do their politics, they want to go beyond the caste. The Congress, on the other hand, wants to pull back the caste sentiment into politics, which is eventually a very divisive thing to do.
And many people would call it regressive. I mean, like you walk the
Oh,
talk. I mean, that's what BJP is trying to do, to walk the talk and say that, I mean, again, that's no comparison, but like Article 370, when they were revoking it, what they were saying, that there is no need to give a special status to Kashmir anymore because they are a part of India. We have to weave them in. They are very much a part of our country. So why make it different for them? Why make them feel that they're different? They're special, but why make them feel that they're different? Similarly, with the caste issue, also, the Prime Minister has often said, I walk the talk, I come from a backward caste. But how often will you keep on hearing me say, oh, main OBC, oh, main ye, oh, main wo? I want to walk the talk, and I want everyone from every caste, particularly the so called backward caste who have not got those benefits, to be integrated into the mainstream. And you cannot do that if you keep on making them appear different. They
And
are
see,
special, but they cannot be, yeah.
Pallavi, you tell me how many of Congress's allies, the India alliance, are also talking about caste, other than in Bihar.
Correct.
RJD, Nitish was talking.
But they have
Even
always spoken about caste.
they have
The
always
Yadav
spoken,
play the caste factor.
yeah, they do that. But
Yeah.
even a Yadav in UP, Akhilesh is no longer speaking of caste because he has to look
You're
much
right.
beyond his own caste.
When they
He has to
campaign,
look
they
at
don't talk about the caste census. And I
Mamata
Yeah,
Banerjee
suspect
doesn't talk about it.
yeah, she doesn't. And I suspect this whole caste census thing is going to be more about the Congress manifesto and less about the India Front, common minimum program, which they are also expected to come out with. But I don't know when they're going to come out with that. But there was supposed to be a common minimum program and doesn't talk. I mean, there is no one manifesto of the India Front says, okay, these are the three, four, five issues which
And,
are what we are
see,
offering.
I'm
but
glad
so
you brought up Sandeep. I'm glad you brought up UP because the thing what has happened with Akhilesh is, and this is what's scaring them, is that they have realized that if there is education, if there is aspiration, and if there is opportunity, then the caste identity doesn't quite hold you to a political party in the way that it has in the past. And what has happened in UP has been that the Yadavs, the younger Yadavs, have gravitated towards the BJP. And this is a chipping away of caste vote banks, which they have not anticipated. And hence, to bring that vote bank back, they have to reassert the caste identity.
and see, the funny thing, Advaita, assuming Rahul Gandhi has got an ace up his sleeve and the caste census is going to work great, how many seats is he fighting in UP and Bihar? If he gets 16 out of 16 and in Bihar, whatever number of seats, where will it get him in the national numbers? If over there. So I think it's a very very weird strategy, and yeah, MP, if he thinks it is going to give him dividends in MP and Rajasthan, it has already been proven in the assembly elections. What happens? There, the divides are very very different between Rajput and Jat and all. It's not a difference between OBC and backward, etc. That is the kind of fault lines you have there. In Chhattisgarh and MP may have the tribals, non-tribals, but it is not really a battle for OBCs and backward classes.
Hmm, hmm. So, on that note, I think we should wrap up our short little capsule today, which was supposed to be half an hour, and we've made it there. And of course, it's been a wonderful show without you know who, although they are in the chat and being very rude. But don't take
There's a
names.
chart.
One of them is,
Really?
yeah, but don't take names because we don't want to give free publicity to anybody on this show, right? So we don't want to do that. But yeah, there are a lot of comments coming like yawn and heckling and things like that.
Jealous, jealous,
Uh,
jealous.
yeah, who needs hecklers and trolls when part of your own club does the job so well on social media? So
Those are good for us,
But
yeah.
hmm.
but I have noticed one thing, Advaita, when we are minus these so-called losers, your views are much higher. So there's a message there.
Yeah, there is a message there. The views do go higher, and people are like, what
Lot more substance, lot
what
more substance,
yeah, a lot more substance, a lot more gravitas, and
and
yeah, great you're saying.
and see the and see the
Oh,
glamour
like
push.
okay. We
It's
are
the
being
two of
called a
you.
ramble rouser, loser. Oh my God. Why can't you
Pallavi
see?
makes
Okay, I
Rahul look
know.
right, so you know who's trolling us on the chats now.
And
You,
Pallavi, the entire the glamour quotient goes up when there are two of you, and then there's an old man like me. Then that's what, and you dominate the top part of the screen. That's what people click for. Just imagine with six people of that Abhijit coming in his thing, our friend doctor, and then that white-haired man. Uh, what kind of
yeah,
screen
but
presence you have?
Three's company, I think. Three's company for the
Uh,
crowd.
Chalo, on that note, bye. Thank
So
you. Let's
Bye. Thank you so much, Advaita.
please
let's do
like,
more of
share.
these short ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And
Bye, everyone.
even those who are watching the show and don't want to come on it, or rather they're dying to come on it, please like the show.
So, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.